Good morning, students. Welcome back to Social Online Class. Are you fine, students? I hope you all are fine and safe by the grace of God. Students, in the last class, what we learned, have you remember, students? In the last class, we learned about economics lesson 5. Okay, and also in the previous class itself, I completed economics lesson 5. Students, today I am going to teach economics lesson 1. Okay, because some students asked me to teach economics lesson 1 again because some classes did not complete this lesson. Like I get the information students and from parents, I get the information about this. So again I am going to teach economics lesson 1. Okay, students, those who did not in which are the classes did not teach this lesson, so you listen careful. Other students also, again, you careful listen very careful. Okay, today I am going to teach economics lesson 1, cross domestic product and its growth and introduction. Okay, from this lesson, we are going to learn about the meaning of cross domestic product, to understand the various measures of national income, to understand the composition of GDP, to know about the different sectors in GDP, to know about the economic growth, the different development and its differences. We know about the development path, GDP and employment. And finally, we are going to learn about to understand the growth of GDP and economic policies. Okay. From here, today I am going to explain the introduction and the definition of GDP. Okay, today just I am going to teach the introduction alone and the definition of GDP. Okay, students, listen very carefully. After a long time, you got touch through email with a good friend of yours who lives abroad. Okay. After a long time, just you touch through email with a good friend of yours who lives abroad. What when she asks, "How are you?" What is your reply? Students, you may answer, "My health is in good shape and I am progressing in my studies, so I am doing well." Likewise, you are saying the answer, is it? Otherwise, your reply may be, "Not very well. I am not very well. I had to receive treatment for some health problems and that adversely affected my performance in my studies." Okay, students, likewise, we will say the answer. Suppose your friend asks the another question, means that means the question is, how is India doing? Likewise, the your friend's question means, can you say the answer, students? You cannot say the answer, is it? It is the we cannot say the answer. It is very difficult question because she is asking about the condition of the nation, is it? She is asking the condition of the nation. Okay, so we cannot say the answer, is it? You cannot say the answer. Only the economists have provided different measures of answering your friend's question. Only the economists have provided different measures of answering your friend's question. Because the answer, how can we say the answer means about gross domestic product, about GDP. Okay, about GDP only we can say the answer about how India is doing. Through GDP, we can say the answer, India is doing well or India is not doing well. Okay, okay, students. Then, how we understood about GDP? Through GDP, how we can understand the GDP means the amount of the value of goods and services, through the value of goods and services. Okay, how we can observe the GDP value? Through the goods and services. Okay, for example, listen, student, just you imagine. Okay, what happens in a hotel? Just you imagine what happens in a hotel. Okay, suppose you are in the hotel, you place an order for two idlis and a cup of tea. Someone makes the idlis and tea, is it? Some other person or serves the idli and T for you. An economist will say that is the hotel, two kinds of items are being produced. That means goods are producing and services work also doing in the hotel. Okay. Listen students, tangible. That means the cooking or the services are cannot feel, but we are physically that particular things are touch and feel. That is tangible. Physically, that particular things can be touch and feel. That particular things is tangible. Here, which thing is tangible? Can you say the answer, students? Very good. Italy and tea. That is the tangible. Okay, tangible means capable of being touched. Capable of being touched. Okay, tangible means capable of being touched. Okay, then then the economists call such tangible items goods. These goods are not free but have to paid for. These goods are not free but have to paid for. That means from the hotel, that particular production we are not getting freely. Okay, we have to pay. Okay, then though you don't realize it in the addition, these tangible things called goods. Okay, though you don't realize it in addition to these tangible things are called goods. Then some that means the something some persons are producing that the goods items that is tangible, the work done by cooks and the people who serve the food that is service. Okay, the work done the cooks and the people who serve the food that is called services. Okay, goods means that particular items. That means the Italy and tea is the item. Okay, that is called tangible or goods. Then the cooks, those who are working done to cook, and those who are serving that particular Italy and tea, that is called services. Okay, the activity of cooking and serving is not something you can feel and touch. That means the activity and cooking is not add in the particular tangible items. That means feel and touch. That is services. The goods item, they are production. That is goods. Okay, they are production. That is goods. Such activities, that means cooking and serving, that is the activities, that is not tangible items. Okay, that is not tangible items. So, the economists call such a activity services. Okay, the economist called the such a activity services. Okay, such a activity services. Then, as in the case of goods, these and other services are not free but have to pay it for. Okay, so what happens every day in the hotel? The same thing only happens in the nationwide. Students, listen very careful. What happens in the hotel, the same thing only happen every day in the nation. Okay, that means goods and services are produced and paid for, and this is what the GDP measures. Okay, how we can measure the GDP? The goods and services producing in a country, that particular goods are so selling in the market, that market value is called GDP. That market value alone measuring to the GDP, added in the GDP. So likewise we can measure the GDP. Okay. Okay, students. Now I am going to explain the definition of GDP. Okay, listen very careful, students. Now I am going to teach the definition of GDP. Okay, listen very careful, students. The GDP is the market value of all the final goods and services produced in the country during a time of period. That means in a particular period, in a particular country, producing goods items are selling in the market, that particular market value is called uh, GDP. Okay, that particular market value. Okay, the goods and services produced in a country in a particular period of time, that particular thing's market value is called GDP. GDP is equal to C plus I plus G plus XM. Listen very careful, students. GDP is equal to C plus I plus G plus X. Okay, that means C means consumption, I means investment, G means government expenditure, XM. XM means X means export, M means import. Okay, X means export, M means imports. Okay, okay, students. From this definition, three things are very, very important. Okay, from this definition, three things are very, very important. The first one is goods and services. The first one is goods and services. For example, the goods and services, that is the tangible items. Okay, the tangible items, while services are activities which are intangible, tangible and intangible. Goods and services. Goods means tangible. Okay, what are the things they are producing? That protection item only called tangible. Intangible means what are the doing work done by that particular production area, that is called services. Okay, that is called services. The services activities are intangible. Now can you understand, students, about tangible and intangible? The producing goods items are tangible. Those who are doing that production work, that is called intangible. Okay, then the second important thing is market value. Okay, second important thing is market value. This is the price at which goods and services are sold in the market. That means the production they are selling in the market, that selling market, that market value, that production's market value is called the market value. How much amount they are selling that particular things, that is called the market value. Okay, for example, um, the GDP measures all the goods and services produced in the country. Okay, for this we have to add all the goods and services produced. However, a nation produces a wide range of goods like rice, shoes, milk, clocks, books, bicycles, etc. Okay, if only the quantities are taken into account, there is no meaningful way to add these up. For example, how do you add 1000 liters of milk with 500 clocks? We cannot add milk with clogs, is it? Likewise, there is no meaningful way to add the quantities of services since a wide range of services are produced. Okay, such as the work done by doctors, police, fire services, teachers, drivers, district collectors, etc. When we cannot add the quantity of one type of good with another type of good, or one type of service with another type of service, there is no sensible way to add the quantities of goods produced with those of services produced. Then, how will we add the quantity of milk produced in the country with the services produced by teachers? We cannot add, is it? The production of milk and the services of teachers can be added. We cannot add, is it? Then how they are adding GDP through these things? The GDP solves the problem by measuring the goods and services. Okay, that means the production of milk at 1000 liters milk means the production goods. Is it? Then service or teaching works means the services. Is it? How can we add through GDP? Through GDP only solves this problem. That means which is the rupee in the case of India. The rupee value are derived from the prices at which the goods and services are sold in the market. Only these goods and services with a market value are included in the GDP. Only the market value only added in the GDP. Okay, students. This particular things implies that unless a goods or services is sold in the market, it is not included in the GDP. Okay. For example, if you pay rupees 50 to get a manuscript typed in the computer center, that particular services are including in the GDP. Okay, that particular things are including in the GDP. Okay. Suppose The same thing you are doing, in your home you are doing means that manuscript is not included in the GDP. Okay, this is the GDP value, the measurement. Okay, then the third important thing is final goods and services. Is it the third important thing is final goods and services. The important economists Tyler Gown and Alex Tabarrok, they both together say the final goods and services are the goods and services, that particular goods and services which will be used or consumed and will not form a part of other goods and services. Okay, the goods and services will be used for producing other goods and services, and that is will part of goods and services produced. That is called intermediate goods. That is called intermediate goods. That means only the final goods are included in the GDP. The intermediate goods are not counted in calculating the GDP because their value is included in the final goods. Okay, so if the intermediate goods are included in the GDP, which result is what is called, that is called double counting. That is called double counting. So it is very difficult to add in the GDP. So only the final goods value alone adding in the GDP, measuring in the GDP. For example, a cup of tea. If you want to buy a cup of tea means the tea amount is rupees 10. Is it? The hotel amount is rupees 10. But if you want, if that particular hotel's cooking persons want to prepare the tea means they want to add tea powder, sugar, etc. Is it? But only the final goods, final value alone they are getting from ourselves. Is it? But the hotel is preparing tea from some of the intermediate goods. So for example, they are adding sugar, they are adding tea powder, etc. Is it? But that amount they did not add in the tea. Okay, they won't ask if we buy one tea in the hotel means they won't give the bill, milk this much rupee, water this much rupee, tea powder this much rupee, then sugar this much rupee. If you get the bill like this, no, is it students? The final value alone we are getting the 10 rupees. This amount value is 10 rupees. That is the final value. The intermediate goods are the sugar, tea powder, etc. Is it? But that value they won't add in the GDP. Totally the final amount only they collect from the tea. Okay, so that particular final goods value alone they are including in the GDP. Likewise, they are measuring the GDP. Suppose the intermediate things want to they calculate in the GDP means that is double counting. That is double counting. That is very difficult to add. So the double counting will won't do in the through measuring the GDP. The final goods value alone they are including in the GDP. So likewise the GDP is measuring. Now can you understand students how the GDP is measuring? Can we recall the points? Students, now we learned about gross domestic product and its growth. Is it gross domestic product and its growth? The introduction alone we learned. Is it in the introduction what we learned? Suppose your friend asks you to how India is doing means can you say the answer about GDP? If you know about GDP means only you can answer that particular question. Is it? So if the one country can measure the GDP. Through GDP only, we can say about India, how is India doing. So, through GDP, we can find out about our country. Is it? Then, how we can understand about GDP? Just now, I explained one imagination. Is it? Imagine what happens in a hotel. You place an order for two idlis and a cup of tea. Is it? Someone makes the idli and tea. in a hotel, two works are there, two activities are there. Is it? They are preparing the goods and they are doing the services work. That is, goods and services works are together doing in the hotel. Okay, that means what are the things they are producing? That is called the tangible. Is it, students? Tangible. Tangible means capable of being touchable. Is it? Capable of being touchable. Tangible means capable of being touchable. Okay. That means what are the things they are producing? How we say what are the things they are touch and feel? That is called tangible. Then what are the work? How they are producing that particular good? That is called services. Okay, that is called services. Though you don't realize it, in addition to these tangible things is called good, something else is being produced. Okay. The work done by the cooks and people to serve the food is called the activities of services. That activities are called services. Okay. Then likewise we can know about the GDP. Now from here today we learned about the definition of GDP. Okay. From here today we learned about the definition of GDP. Is it, students? The definition of GDP. What is the definition of GDP? Have you remember, students? GDP is the market value of all the final goods and services produced in the country during a period of time. Is it? Then GDP is equal to C plus I plus G plus X sum. Is it? C means very good. Consumption. Is it? C means consumption. I means excellent. Investment. Okay. Then G means government expenditure. Then XM means export and import. Okay. From this definition, three things are very, very important. Is it, students? From this definition, three things are very, very important. What are the three things? Goods and services, market value, final goods and services. Is it? Goods and services. What are the things? That means tangible and intangible. That goods are called tangible. Services are called intangible. Is it? That is goods and services. What are the things they are producing? That is called goods. What are the person? What are the works doing that particular production area? That is called services. Okay. Market value. Market value means that the production is selling in the market. Is it sold in the market? That price is called market value. Holding price is called market value. Then final goods and services. Final goods and services. That means these are the goods and services which will be used or consumed. That means the goods and services will used for producing other goods and services will form a part of goods and services produced. That is called intermediate goods. That is called intermediate goods. That intermediate goods is not counted or calculated in the GDP. Is it? Because the value of concluded in the final goods, that particular value, that means the intermediate goods value is included in the final goods. So the intermediate goods value is not added in the GDP. It is very difficult. Suppose the intermediate goods added through GDP means that is called very good double counting. Is it? That is called double counting. Is it? So that is very difficult to add. So that intermediate goods are not added in the GDP. For example, a cup of tea. If you want to buy one tea, means that total amount is 10 rupee. Okay. If you go to hotel and you ask one tea, means they will give the bill. Is it? They won't put the bill for tea amount, sugar 2 rupee, tea powder 2 rupee, milk 6 rupee. Likewise, they won't put the bill. Is it? The final amount 10 rupee, one tea 10 rupee. Likewise, they put the bill. Is it? But one tea want to make means sugar is very, very important, and also the tea powder also need. Is it? That is the intermediate goods. That amount won't add separately. That particular intermediate goods also including in the final goods. Okay. Likewise, the final goods only measure in the GDP. The intermediate goods measure means that is double counting. That is very, very difficult. So the final goods amount only measuring in the GDP. Okay, can you understand, students? Students, just introduction only I taught now. The content will I will teach the next class. The content will teach the next class. Just introduction only I taught now. The content will teach the next class. Okay, students. Now Allah take a book. From here, no question answers. Okay. From here, no question answers. Some book inside question is there. Take page number 293. Take page number 293. The definition of GDP heading. Definition of GDP heading. GDP is the market value of all the final goods and services produced in the country during a time of period. Close the bracket. That is that question is definition of GDP. Okay, GDP. Then the appreciation they are given, that also you read. Then goods and services, tangible. Goods means tangible. One word question, you mark it. Goods means tangible. Services means intangible. Okay. Then market value means the price that particular production is sold, so selling in the market, that market where that price is called market value. Okay. Final goods and services, that means from there the fourth line, the goods and services will be used for producing other goods and services and will from a part of the goods and services produced are called intermediate goods. That is define intermediate goods. Okay, question is define intermediate goods. These 2 mark question, book inside question, you have to mark, students. Then the next class onwards, I will teach the content. Okay, the next class onwards, I will teach the content. Students, now I am going to give one information. Now listen, students. In the home test portion is geography lesson 1 to 7. Listen very careful, students. Home test portion is geography lesson 1 to 7, economics lesson 2 to 6. Okay, geography lesson 1 to 7 and economics lesson 2 to 5. Economics first lesson I did not take the question because some students inform me that particular lesson is did not teach in the school itself. Okay, some classes school itself this lesson completed, but some classes did not teach, like I get the information from the students and the parents. Okay, so this lesson I am going to teach today onwards. So from this lesson I did not take any question. This question is omitted from this home test. Okay, the next home test I will include this lesson also. Can you understand, students? But everyday portion you have to learn. Okay, and also students, you have to prepare the home test. Home test portion, geography lesson 1 to 7, then economics lesson 4 to 5. Okay, sorry, 2 to 5. Geography lesson 1 to 7, economics lesson 2 to 5. Then history and civics. From history and civics, how much lesson that particular teacher will inform you. Okay, the teacher will inform you the portion. Many lessons are there, students. So very careful. Day-to-day portion you learn well. Home test is very, very important. Okay, home test is very, very important. Sometime the government announced to take this home test mark means so you have to learn, you study well, write the exam well. You should not copy. Okay, some students copied. Okay, we know in the paper correction we identified those who are copied from the book in the home test. So you very careful, you should not copy. Everyday portion you have to learn, write it in a rough note, you correct it, get your parents signature. Likewise everyday portion you have to learn, then you write the home test. Okay, students, it is very, very important, you very careful. Okay, okay, students, we will meet the next class. Thank you.